Hello everyone and welcome back to another NinjaGo video. I am Princess 1215 once again looking over a season of NinjaGo, and yes, I apologize. It has been a long time since I have gotten to one of these. I think the last time I did one was actually like back in January, so it's been like 10 months. So I am so sorry that it's taken me this long to get back to NinjaGo. But I've just been so incredibly busy, and I've had to prioritize, working on my other projects, which are very time consuming, and I haven't even really had too much time to watch a lot of TV, just like the very bare minimum, on top of work and all that other stuff. So, and Ninjago is something that I could, potentially have turned on in the background, but I didn't want to do that to that show. Like there's other shows I can watch while I'm eating and, just kind of turn on in the background and kind of pay half attention to it. And it's like, it's fine. But Ninjago is a show I really want to deliberately pay attention to and not do that too. So I knew that I was like, okay, I'm going to put this second season of Dragons Rising on hold and not watch it until I actually have like the time I can dedicate to actually sit down and watch it fully. And I finally got the time to do that. So here we are looking over season 2, part 1 of Dragons Rising, just coincidentally right before part 2 comes out. So, again, kind of because part 2 kind of leaked on Peacock a couple weeks back, was there for like 48 hours and then vanished again. So, oopsie. So I did not watch it though. I knew about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a terrible blunder. But I did not watch it because I hadn't watched part 1 yet. So anyway, yeah, Dragons Rising season 2 part 1. What do I think? I really liked it, and I liked it a lot more than season 1. And I liked season 1. If you go back and watch my video from earlier in the year when I talked about the entirety of season 1 of Dragons Rising, I was like, okay, yeah, this is a good step up from Crystallized, which granted it's not hard to be a step up from Crystallized because of how awful it was, but no, it was good. It was definitely kind of a fresh little restart that Ninjago needed, and it was cool, but it also at the same time I found myself struggling to keep completely engaged with it because there was so much new at the same time. Where it's like, yeah, I like Eren, Soren, and Ryu, and these are fun new characters, and the new worlds are interesting, but it's like, but I miss Zane. Where's Zane? Why'd you wait most of like the first part to bring Zane back? I know what the answer is. It's like if I were a writer, I'd probably do very much similar. Well, I say if I were a writer, I am a writer. Let me rephrase. If I were a writer on the show, I probably would have made similar choices. But as a longtime viewer of Ninjago, like I've been a Ninjago fan since it started, since 2011. So it's like 13 years of being a Ninjago fan. It was kind of I want my characters back. These are kind of, it's like Ninjago is kind of especially when it's good, it's kind of a comfort show for me. All these characters are kind of comfort characters for me in a lot of ways. So I'm like, okay, it's like, where's Zane? Yay, there's Zane. It's like, where's Cole? Yay, there's Cole. It's like, oh, where's Jay? Where's Jay? Where's Jay? He's got a 3-second cameo. Okay. But so that was kind of an issue I had with part 1, is that it was a slow burn, and that's fine. I really respect them for choosing to do that. And I did work my way through it and did like the final product for season 1. So season 2 is a little bit more back to basics, a little bit of classic Ninjago mixed in with the new stuff for Dragons Rising Season 1. And I think this first part, anyway, I think this works brilliantly. I was engaged the whole time. I was really digging it. At this point, and this is why you do a season like Season 1 of Dragons Rising, to set up the new characters so that way they do mesh well with the old characters. And that way you can have them going on adventures, and it's not like it doesn't seem like that you're forcing new characters down people's throats and then they don't interact well with the legacy characters and et cetera, which we've seen a couple of franchises try to do in recent years, and it doesn't always completely work. So this I think really worked. Having the new younger ninja in there, and especially expanding on Wildfire a little bit this season and seeing more of her, because she was kind of a late addition last time around. And we're really just kind of getting to know the very basics of her in the first go around, and now now we're getting to know a little bit more about her, um, and seeing a little bit more from her. I think it all just really meshed and worked well. Like Wildfire specifically, I really like this character. She's just a big ball of fun energy to me, but at the same time there is and that could be that there could be the risk of her being one note, and I think they did a really good job this season of making sure she's not one note, where it's like, yeah, she does kind of have her base archetype. Here is what her like base personality is, but then they make sure to break that by breaking her leg very early on, and so you do have to see a different side of her and understand that there is nuance and depth to this character, and she's just not a one note wild child joke the entire time, and I really appreciate that. um Probably one of my favorite scenes in the season is when she and I think it's Rontu, the bearded dragon guy with the woo hat. I think that's probably one of my favorite scenes in the season, where she kind of uses a little bit of reverse psychology on him and kind of quote unquote tricks him into drinking the tea or whatever, the stew, whatever that was. Um, and he kind of warms up to her a little bit and the other ninja in general. I really liked that. Again, that was showing a different side to her, and I think that they're really doing a good job of building up this very well-rounded character. Same with Sarah, Sarah and Oren, Aaron and Sora. Same with them. I like seeing more of their dynamic explored. They're different. It is interesting that this time around we're kind of doing the opposite of what we did last time around. Where last time around it was a lot of Sora is struggling with her elemental power. She doesn't even think she has an elemental power. And so that was kind of the through line of the whole season. Of one of the big arcs was her believing in herself and kind of achieving her true potential and discovering her elemental power. So then this time around, we're kind of doing the same thing, but now we're doing it with Aaron. And Aaron had some early successes last season, but now he is really kind of struggling to get past those early advancements. And that's troubling him, and his parents are still missing, and that weighs on him heavily. So, there's not really, they didn't, obviously this is part one of part two for the season. There's like another 10 episodes that are going to launch very soon. And so, this was not the, this was not the end of his arc, but I do like the kind of, not ominous, that's not the right word, but the unresolved but clearly foreshadowy note that they kind of, not foreshadowing is not even the right word either, but he's like the note they leave it on, where it's like, it's clear that a big focus in the next part of this season is going to be the fact that he thinks that he has progressed, but he hasn't. And how is he going to react to, because it's just an inevitability. He's going to have to figure out that Sora helped him. And as good intentioned as it is, that, especially with his struggles this season, and him kind of sort of kind of hiding it a little bit, sort of kind of not hiding it, because he's got his moments where he is kind of lamenting just to himself privately. But then there's also moments where he kind of blows up in front of everyone. So that could have like bad implications going forward, and especially like Roz and the way in that frankly brutal. I mean, there's squash and stretch animation. It's a cartoon. They're cute little Lego minifigures and everything, but the just the beat down that Roz gives Aaron, I was kind of like, ooh, ow, this is actually really kind of brutal. It's been a while since we've seen something this brutal on Ninjago. I feel like the last time we really saw like a really brutal beatdown was probably Sons of Garmadon, where it's like that scene in I'm forgetting Cryptarium Prison, right? Yeah, and yeah, that scene in Cryptarium Prison where the newly reborn Lord Garmadon just beats down Lloyd while telling him, "I have no son," both emotionally and physically brutal, just all around. And so it's like that's probably one of the most brutal moments in all of Ninjago. So while the emotionality wasn't there with Roz, I mean the physicality of like the jumping in the anime jumping in the air and then throwing him down and everything, that was very oof, ouch. I am feeling sympathy pain for this plastic character. So I'm very eager to see where Aaron's story goes. And I mean, they left off on a pretty good cliffhanger. I mean, something like I was saying is that this really is kind of the best of both worlds, meshing old Ninjago with current with what we got last season. There's a really good scene midway through where Zane says, "Okay, so let me get this straight. Our plan is to find this person that doesn't exist, to thwart a villain's plan we hardly understand, and go to a realm that prior to about 5 minutes ago we didn't even know existed." And it's like, I know it sounds crazy. Cole's like, I know it sounds crazy. When Zane interrupts him and goes, "This sounds like the good old days. I'm in." And it really is. It really is kind of playing with the trope of a lot of past Ninjago stories, and it really is kind of it's like, oh, you know what, this was kind of one of the again, like I'm saying, this is a comfort show of mine. I'm happy that some of these trappings of the old shows and everything, because now this is technically the third Ninjago show. I'm happy that a lot of these old trappings are still kind of sticking around, and they don't necessarily feel old yet. I feel like they were threatened to. I mean, because one of the reasons Crystallized was just terrible, and really, I discussed this last time when I talked about season 1 of Dragon's Rising, that Crystallized really did actively hurt my engagement in Ninjago, where it was just that bad that when Dragon's Rising popped up, I was like, oh, okay, I'll get to that. And I wasn't really excited to get to it. So that tells you how bad Crystallized was. And part of the reason Crystallized was so bad, which has been discussed ad nauseum and to death, and I know. But to prove my point here, part of the reason Crystallized was so bad is because it was doing all of the same Ninjago tropes that we had gotten used to over the past, 10 years or however long it had been. And they didn't do anything new with it or comment on it or point out, here's why we're doing this again. We're making and it's like, because again, a whole meta thing of, the Overlord's back. It's an indestructible army that's going to have some sort of weakness that will be able to exploit Phantom Menace style, blah, blah, blah. These are things that we had all seen before, and the Ninja never really comment on the fact that they have all seen it before as well. And if there had been a point to that, or them going, it's like, man, this really feels like deja vu. It's like, this just keeps happening. And then Wu gives the whole thing. It's like the Overlord can never truly be destroyed. He can only be, set back, but it's the animosity that brings him back and blah, blah, blah. Then if there's a thing where they have to go, okay, now we have to break the cycle. And this time it's going to be different. We can't keep playing this circular destiny game or something. If they had made a point of the storytelling to do that, then it would. I mean, that would have improved it so much just right there. But that's it's not what they did. But oh well. So, but now we have it's kind of quote unquote paid off in the long run. That now we have Dragon's Rising, and it seems to have very clearly learned from the mistakes of Crystallized specifically, but also other past Ninjago seasons. And it's doing a very good job of being familiar and new at the same time. Like one of the new characters I'm just absolutely head over heels in love with is this new sorceress character. I really hope she sticks around because I just found her to be a hoot. And the vibe she brought to the show, I feel like there's a kind of a goofy sense to it. It did feel very, pardon the pun, it did feel very magical. Like there was a magical kind of goofiness quality to her, but the jokes never felt like juvenile. Like it's like the jokes were never like aimed for, we are doing the most lowest brow humor possible to appeal to the 3-year-olds in the audience. No, she was kind of like spouting jokes left and right, but a lot of them you kind of had to think of a lot of times, and just like certain, not in some lines probably weren't even pinned as jokes, but then just with the delivery of the voice actress, who I didn't double check to see who voiced her, but it's like she was doing a really great job. It's like, oh, someone turned that trap door into a big snaggletooth monster. I wonder who did this. So just something about the delivery and like her using and pulling things out of her hat. And it's like it's a Mary Poppins carpet bag, pocket dimension or whatever in there. And and it's just all of her. It's like, ooh, ask these people if they're the slug merchants I've been waiting on, and stuff like that. She's just I just love kooky characters like that, and she really brought this sense of magic and humor back to the show that I feel like kind of hasn't been around in a while. I mean, that almost kind of like felt authentically like season one Ninjago to me, when they were really still kind of exploring what Ninjago is and was at that time. Where it's like this is even pre Dareth, because I feel like when Dareth came in, they just kind of, and don't get me wrong, I love Dareth, but when Dareth came in, it did kind of feel a little bit like he's just our go-to comedic relief character. So a lot of comedic relief is just going to be about this bumbling idiot. And again, love Dareth. I'm never going to say no to more Dareth. But a lot of the hijinks and stuff that he got up to, like having to pee away the elemental powers he wanted from Mistake and stuff, it was fine. But it's when you look at the show as a whole over time, it does feel kind of samey after a while, where it's like that's kind of the one joke they keep going back to. And again, like I said, makes me smile every time. I'm never going to say no to more Dareth. But this new sorceress character, it really did. To me anyway, she really did instill this kind of new, yet at the same time, like classically familiar humor and energy back into the show that like I said, I hadn't really felt since like the pilots in season one, where it's like, it really to me felt a lot like Cruncha and New Call and some of the Serpentine side characters and stuff. And even like season two, where it just kind of gets goofy at times. Like, she gave me Giant Ham Sandwich vibes. It's like, if you've been following Ninjago for a long time, you remember Giant Ham Sandwich from season two. I'm pretty sure that was the Ninja Ball Run episode. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like I haven't felt that kind of vibe from Ninjago in a long time, and it was kind of this is so nice. I just really like that. But that wasn't the only style of humor they had in there. Like, bringing back it's not the Division. That's a Tom Clancy thing. I'm forgetting. The administration, that's what it is. Bringing back the administration and Zane kind of working around, and then like them thinking that Zane is their property, and then him kind of working around their need for paperwork, and like them realizing that they didn't have the right forms, and then they had to like fill out the forms, and then they still weren't correct. So it's like the back and forth is like, that just made me smile. That was fun. That was a good use of Zane, because there were certain things and not even just this season, but kind of like recent years of Ninjago, where it's like Zane, it is interesting to like kind of chart the course of Zane as a character. This may be, when I have more time, this may be a solo video I want to try to do. It's like, charting Zane's character arc and kind of his almost Flanderization of a character. Which, for those of you that aren't aware, Flanderization is when a character kind of reverts to just their one single character trope, and they don't really expand out of that. Because, of course, Zane originally, like, the whole big original twist is that he's a robot, and that's shocking at the time. And then even later, when he is a robot, he's still not. He doesn't always give into the stereotypical robot jokes. And then that was part of one of the issues people had with the movie from 2017, is that they just kind of, like, Zane's character was just, he's a robot joke. And it's like, and the really only one good joke that they had in there for him was when he's like, my mother is all like, and then he makes dial-up internet noises talking to Lloyd. I thought that was funny. But it's like, nothing else about Zane in the movie really felt authentic to the character or was really humorous or funny. And then slowly, but then like after that point, Zane did kind of start to feel again, like in the show, like they were like he was kind of slowly becoming just that I'm a robot character again, where it's like there were a couple of head scratchy things to me this season where what is it exactly? It's the It's like the fact that he's confused by because that's a joke you do with robots because they're not human. They're trying to understand humans, so you have to explain things. So it's a common trope where human characters have to explain to robots what this means because they're a robot and they don't understand. Sometimes they can get sometimes that can get kind of dry and repetitive because it's like, okay, how many times can you have to do you have to explain to a robot what that is? It's like it feels like it can be just an easy, cheap way to fill exposition or do a joke. Now sometimes it can be done really well. I think Big Hero 6 from Disney. I think that's a time where that's been done really well because they are able to tie it into the emotionality of the film and the characters. But lately, Zane has kind of just reverted back to that I'm just a robot character. And there were a couple moments this season and last season where it's like, but those are just moments. That's why I don't think that Zane has been totally flanderized. It's like they're just moments where I'm like, but he's so I'm kind of like, we don't really need to do this with Zane. He's more unique of a character than that. But at the same time, he's also been like shut down, and it's like it's funny that they kind of did the trope of, oh, Zane dies again, and then they just like immediately bring him back. Like I really thought that was going to be he's going to be offline for the rest of the season and they're going to have to revive him at the very end. But no, it lasted all of about 3 seconds, and I'm like, okay, that's good. I'm happy about that. And that's another trope that they've kind of leaning into. But so it is just kind of funny that like in season 11 in the fire chapter, like his whole thing is kind of like he sees himself in the mirror and like his greatest fear is that he doesn't want to be just known as one. He doesn't want to be this emotionless android. And there are kind of, like I was saying, there's kind of moments here and there in the newer seasons where he is just kind of that character. So it's like sometimes I suppose, like depending on what writer writes certain episodes, specifically like whenever Zane's interacting with Mr. Frohickey, there is a lot of I'm a robot and you're doing human things, even though he's not human, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like, and you're doing human things, and this does not compute. This is not logical. But then there's other episodes where he's better. And even then, you can still kind of lean into a little bit of the robot stuff and still make it funny and still make him kind of his unique character self. Because like when he's growing and shrinking, he's been affected by the growth potion. I do find it funny whenever he trips over the tree root and he's about to fall on the sorceress and Cole. And he's like, please vacate my landing zone. But then he shrinks. It's like just the choice of words of please vacate my landing zone instead of move out of the way or something like that. It's, it's funny. That does kind of make it funny that those are the words he chooses because he's a robot. So it's like, yeah, Zane is, I think at this point, probably a tricky character for certain people to write because he does have all this humanity in him, but he's also accepted at this point, long accepted the robot half of him. So, and at this point, he's known more for the titanium shell than he is the yellow skin minifig. So, anyway, kind of a side tangent on Zane there. Let's see here. Another character I liked was Bonzel this time around. I think I did mention her last time because there was the one episode in the the Land of Lost Things or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, there's this random bone lady character, and she's kind of dry sarcasm, and I kind of like her. I think I mentioned her last time, and if I didn't, I was certainly thinking that to myself privately. So now that we've gotten more time with her, I really like this character. Again, she still has a lot of that kind of Aubrey Plaza in Parks and Rec. Dry, sarcastic sense of humor that I really like. I have a lot of that myself at times. Not quite as dry and dire almost, but yeah, I do like that style of humor. So a lot of the things she said did get a good chuckle out of me. And yeah, overall, it's like her like being a spell and like trying to find her own humanity in her sentience and stuff. It's like that's interesting, kind of out there abstract plot line where it's like it kind of tying us into the Zane conversation. Like it has echoes of Zane. Pun not intended with the Echo Zane thing, but there you can see where it's kind of similar to the Zane storyline because he's a robot fighting his humanity and everything. But I don't know, the kind of more mystical element to her because of that, I think is adds a different layer to it that I think differentiates it enough for me. So I like her. I think that's an interesting character. In the scene, the flashback scene she does have with Wu are well was really nice. I do wonder what's up with Wu because it's very obvious that the little floating orb thing is Wu. I'm ready. I'm gonna be very happy when he comes back. I love Master Wu as a character. I think that's just a good character. Again, because the show's run so long and has had so many different writers, it is a character that you run the risk of flanderizing and overusing in the wrong ways. Kind of the whole, because it's kind of a trope at this point where it's like, well, here's this dark, mysterious thing from Wu's past that he hasn't told the ninja about that come back to bite him in the rear end years later that he has not prepared them for when he probably could have. It's like, and there's like a laundry list of them. So you're kind of quote unquote retiring the character for now and just reserving him for as this kind of, Force Ghost Obi-Wan type thing for right now, and then presumably he'll maybe come back in a bigger way later. I'm hoping. I think that's fine for now, and that's one of those things where I think this is where the difference between the differences of the old show and the combining of the elements of this kind of new style and with the new characters and the new world and everything, I think is working really well. Because it is giving a good balance of we're getting lots of new. Because that was a big complaint after Crystallize, is that all this show ever really does is return to the status quo and nothing really ever changes, and so the stakes are kind of lowered because of that. And so with the merge, well, there goes that complaint out the window because basically everything's new. And the first season of Dragons Rising really was not a typical season of NinjaGo. They did a lot of there were some similarities, but there was a lot of new things with characters and locations and storylines and the way the story was told and etc. But Wu's kind of here and there off the table, able to pop in when we need it and stuff like that. It really does add a good sense of variety to the show. So even now that we are kind of returning, as Zane quipped in that one episode, it's like, oh, it feels like the old days because we're kind of doing the tropes again. But it's still, but with all the things that have changed, being able to it feels not refreshing, but it feels like I said, warm comfort blanket of familiarity going back to that plot line because it feels new and fresh again because it's doing a familiar thing but in a completely new way. With these characters and stuff, I'm really liking this, and I'm glad that I kind of again I apologize for it taking me this long to really get to this, because I think even said in a video back in like June I wanted to I want to get back to Ninjago, and I did actually intend to do that, but then I can't remember what, but something came up and I couldn't, and so it's taking me this long to get back to it now. But now the whole new season is about to come out again, part 2 of season 2, and I'm really now I can kind of almost like jump in immediately and kind of watch it with everyone else that didn't already watch it on Peacock. So I have seen like a couple small things. I'm hoping they're small things, and I've seen some mixed reactions, so it'll be interesting. And they mentioned at the end of this season, but it's interesting that they're going back to a tournament. I really like Tournament of Elements. That in my season ranking videos, the Tournament of Elements usually ranks pretty high. I think I keep it in somewhere around the top 5 mark, or just under. So I really like Tournament of Elements as a season. I think it's a really good season. So them going back and doing a different tournament, interesting that they're choosing to do that. And I wonder how they're going to do it differently compared to last time. And hopefully, they don't kind of do too many repeaty things. So yeah. Don't really think I have too much else to talk about right now. Just kidding. Yeah, other than just that, I'll watch the new season when it comes out and hopefully be back sooner with another Ninjago video amongst all the other stuff I've got going on. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of now. That's a very quick half hour. I did not think I'd been going for this long. But that tells you how easy it is for me to talk Ninjago. It's one of those things where I still love Ninjago. I've just been focusing on so many other things on my channel right now that unfortunately it's just one of those topics that's taken a backseat. I can't promise, other than the new season review when that's out. I can't promise I'm gonna be working on anything else Ninjago soon other than that, but it is on my mind. I mean, I have this I think about it pretty often because I do have this big display of Ninjago stuff in my room. Every now and then I hum the theme, and one of the themes and stuff, like the main overture. So it's like it is like constantly on my mind, and is one of the like bajillion things swirling around and circling in my mind, my Rolodex of things I'm interested in. So yeah, if I have the time and I have like a really good idea, then I'll sit down and do a more traditional Ninjago video like I've done in the past. But yeah, for right now, I'm kind of just swamped with work and my actual paying job and other things, unfortunately. But fear not, it is always on my mind, and so when I have time to get to it, I will get back to it. I'm not gonna just completely abandon the Ninjago content, because I know there's a lot of you on my channel that do like the Ninjago content. And a lot of you found my channel because of that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching if you have watched this far. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links will be in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time for Dragons Rising Season 2, Part 2. Hope you join me then. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.